Eric, you will speak on proceeds to increase.
There you go.
Go for it.
Alright, my name is Eric, and my topic for today is the golden ratio and its application to architecture. The golden ratio has been important to design, especially in architecture, for thousands of years. And it's important because it's aesthetics, it's appeal to the eye. The golden ratio is best described by this line right here. The ratio of A over B is equivalent to A plus B over A. Its numerical value is about 1.618, and it is represented by the Greek letter phi. It is also used in shapes such as the golden rectangle and also the golden triangle. And from using the golden triangle, you can derive many other shapes such as polygons. And the spiral seen here is made up by continuously adding more and more squares to the golden rectangle. And this man, Le Corbusier, was most famously used, a very famous architect for using the golden ratio. And he's a Swiss architect in the 20th century. And it's probably the most famous architect for using the golden ratio in his designs. Le Corbusier designed a system called the modular system. It is based on human measurements and also the golden ratio. And it's similar to that of Da Vinci's Vitruvian Man. And he used this basically to make the things he created, such as buildings or furniture, ideal for human beings. The golden ratio may have been used as early by the Egyptians in the creations of the Great Pyramids. Shown here is an example of a pyramid, and it can be found that the value of phi can be found in many parts of the pyramid. The most famously used example for the golden ratio is the Parthenon in Greece. Although the golden rectangle doesn't fit its facade exactly, it is the most commonly used for architecture because of many examples throughout its architecture. The Notre Dame in Paris shows also many examples of the golden ratio, primarily through the front of the building. Both horizontally and vertically, you can see there are many examples of its use. This is the UN building, UN Secretariat building, that was designed by Le Corbusier. It was probably most explicitly, or the golden rectangle was used explicitly throughout the building, from the outside of the building all the way to its entrance, and also floor plans inside the building. And the Taj Mahal can also be seen. It corresponds with the golden rectangle. This can be of importance because it can be seen that the golden rectangle was used by many societies, and back then it was known as the divine proportion by people like Da Vinci. This is another example of the use of the golden ratio in modern architecture. This is the CN Tower in Toronto. And from the base of the observation deck to the tip of the tower, the measurements are shown with the reciprocal of phi. And the golden ratio can be used in architecture easily. It can be scaled or altered depending on what you want to use it for. And can be easily calculated and also be used in a variety of different shapes. So it can be applied to many different types of buildings. And this is another building designed by Le Corbusier. It's called Via Savoye. And in many parts of the building, like the proportions and scales of the building, he used the proportions of the golden ratio. And in the 20th century, many different types of ways of buildings were used. And the golden ratio is important in modern architecture because you can design the layout of the building, like the windows and doors, and it can also impact the surrounding areas, and if it is used well, it can be well received. And the golden ratio is important to designers and architects And a study showed that people tend to gravitate towards rectangles that most closely resemble the golden rectangle. And due to its aesthetics, it is important in the way people see design today. Are there any questions or comments? Yes.
I really liked how you kind of like showed the different buildings, and then like that one sentence where like it shows that all societies use the golden ratio, kind of like tied it all in together. Because at first I was kind of like, why is he showing like all these random buildings from all over the country? But then it definitely made sense after it. The only problem I had was some photos were like too expanded, so like they were a little blurry, which kind of bothered me a little bit, but that's small.
All right.
And
Yes, maybe.
You obviously knew what you were talking about, which was important because if you're confident in what you're saying, so is the audience. I think maybe don't put your name on the first slide, but other than that,
Yeah.
just you were confident and that was good.
I like the slides overall, I really did. A couple of places I would have liked you to expand when you say like many uses of something. I'd like you to give two or maybe three quick examples of how it functioned actually in the house. But I was very intrigued by the diagram of the human body and the golden ratio. I guess I didn't realize that Corbusier thought of it that way. That was sort of surprising to me. Other questions and comments? Come, Blaze, I know you're with us today. What did you think?
Just from the first perspective, I like how looking at it from with all of these at once, having that black lines on top and bottom really keeps it clean throughout.
Yeah,
And pulls in the colors from the images.
I tried to use the golden ratio and
Yep.
same.
Yeah, there was a good sense of continuity, I think, between the slides, even though you have very, very different kinds of buildings and colors and things to work with. I still felt that there was a sense of continuity there. Anyone else? That's all right, we'll get Nico next time.
Oh,